3 to 6 every afternoon here on 77 WABC. Ben Shapiro is our guy. He actually took over afternoons not that long ago. And you folks don't know this, but we do. And that is a ratings increase, and a substantial ratings increase because of the fine show that he puts on. And he's with us as he is each and every Thursday on the Bernie and Sid Show. It's our good buddy Ben Shapiro. Ben, congratulations. How are you, pal?
Hey, thanks so much. How you doing, fellas?
Doing very, very well.
Always good on a Thursday. Yep. Friday Eve, Ben.
That's right. And congrats on your early success here afternoons at this station.
Yeah, I mean, hope that we keep it up. If we don't, then I guess that we won't be talking anymore.
Well, no, you're 100% right. You're right. You're 100% right. You're right. Hey, let's get to the president. Of course, the last couple of days, been in Vietnam having these big meetings, summit number 2 with Kim Jong-un in an attempt to completely denuclearize North Korea. Really historic. I think most Americans, rational Americans, are happy about this and like what the president is doing. What are your thoughts on President Trump the last couple of days?
You know, honestly, I've been pretty skeptical of his whole North Korean strategy simply because every president has basically signed some sort of agreement with the North Korean regime for the last 30 years saying, if we give you money, will you denuclearize? And the North Koreans go, yeah, sure, that sounds great. And then they just don't denuclearize and they steal the money. So if the president is able to pull it off, then it's an act of negotiating brilliance. If he's not able to pull it off, then he gave Kim Jong-un a fair bit of credibility on the world stage and got nothing in return. So it's a very high-risk, high-reward strategy. You know, it's certainly possible to say that the risk is outweighed by the reward. You know, again, I think that the president's chief negotiating tactic, and we've seen this over and over and over, is that he thinks that he can flatter people into agreeing with him. And so he's been treating Kim Jong-un with real kid gloves. That means that he says some stuff that if Obama said it, I would be absolutely up in arms. And, you know, the fact that Trump is saying it doesn't make it any better unless he gets a good result out of it. So we'll have to see what the result is before we completely rate the effort.
Yes, indeed, Ben Shapiro. So listen, the House of Representatives goes to the Democrats in the last election. The first witness they call is a guy who was convicted of lying to Congress, ironically, Michael Cohen. And it happens to coincide on the first day that Trump's meeting with the first full day in Vietnam, meeting with Kim Jong-un. I mean, what do you think of this whole charade? It seems to me it's all theater and nothing will come of it.
Well, it's certainly all theater, and one of the big problems is when you have a convicted perjurer who lied to Congress testifying before you, and you're treating him with all sorts of honors because you like what he's saying, then what it requires is for the American people to say, okay, where's the corroboration? If there's no corroboration, then we can't just take everything he says at face value. When people say, well, you know, why would he lie? Well, for the same reason he lied before. He sees it to his advantage. I mean, if you're Michael Cohen and you've really burned yourself out with the right, then isn't there sort of an interest in becoming the brave new hero of the left and receiving some strange new respect? We saw this from James Comey. James Comey was hated by the left up until the minute that he was fired by President Trump, and then he became a hero of the Republic. But you're going to get to see the same treatment for Michael Cohen. Well, he's turned a new leaf. I mean, now he's a hero because he's speaking up against Trump. He could take down Trump. You're already starting to see that coverage.
Ben Shapiro, 3 to 6 every afternoon right here on WABC, joining us as he does each and every Thursday, and he's doing a terrific job. You know, before you came on, we had a little discussion, Ben, talking about eventually Bernie and I are going to be on your show. And then your ratings are really going to go up, by the way. But you were talking about, you know, it would have been a good idea to bring you on last week to talk about Cortez. Now, we live in New York. We deal with AOC every single day. Bernie and I are both very upset. The Amazon deal went away, and she was basically the driving force behind that, just sheer stupidity. But what's interesting about you is you live all the way across the country. You're in California, so you got to tell us, even out there, you're talking about AOC, right, and how dangerous she is, the future of politics. Yes?
100%. I mean, the media coverage of AOC is 24/7, and one of my least favorite things the media do is they cover her 24/7, and then when you point out that she's kind of adult, then they say, "Why are you so obsessed with her? Why are you obsessed with?" It's like, well, you put her on the cover of Rolling Stone every other week. That's why we're covering her. Like, if you guys hadn't made her the fresh face, so much freshness and so much faceness of the Democratic Party, you think we'd be talking about this gal? Of course not. The reason we're talking about her is because you made her important. Well, that means that comes with consequences, like we get to talk about how dumb she is.
That's true. Yeah, listen, but in the fact that she's now the de facto leader of the Democratic Party, I mean, all the Democratic candidates are aping what she's saying, which is astounding, stunningly. But let me just move on to this topic, Ben. I know it's near and dear to your heart. The Democrats voted no on a bill to protect babies who survive abortions, stunningly. And look, to play devil's advocate, let me make an intellectual argument to you. You say that late-term abortions, aborting a fetus in the 9th month, is infanticide. Now you're saying that letting a baby die outside the womb, as opposed to 2 hours earlier, inside the woman in the canal or whatever, is infinitely worse. And my question to you is, are you almost making their point that the baby in the womb is not really as important as a baby 2 hours later? It's not endowed with human rights when it's in the womb as it is when it's outside the womb.
I don't think so, and I think that this is more a tactic in the sense that what people on the right are attempting to show is that people on the left have so little value for human life that they are willing to consider the killing of people who are actually born in the same way that they consider the killing of the unborn. So we consider the baby exactly the same, whether it's before, in, or after the birth canal. Folks on the left feel the same way. The difference is they want to kill them both ways, and we want to keep them alive both ways. That's pretty horrifying. Well,
no, that's true. But now that, for example, Governor Northam says everybody freaked out when he said the baby, when it comes out, we'll keep it comfortable until it dies or they make a decision. And people freaked out as if that was infinitely worse than killing that same baby just an hour before that time. So in a sense, maybe making the point that the baby is not fully a human until it comes out of the womb.
Yeah, I hear the argument. I think that the difference is that, it really isn't that we're arguing that it's infinitely worse. We're arguing that it's infinitely more obvious. That if you wanted to make the argument that inside the womb the baby isn't the baby, I think that I can attribute that to ignorance. But once you start saying that a baby outside the womb is not worthy of any protection, it's no longer about ignorance at that point. Now it's just about malice, because everybody knows that's the baby. I mean, come on.
I agree. Listen, I think it's Nazi stuff. It's horrendous. Yeah, it's infanticide, no doubt about it. I agree.
Hey, listen, last thing, Ben Shapiro, do you start to get excited about the Chicago White Sox the end of March, early April, opening day, or while you're doing all this great political stuff and out there fighting your battles, do you actually keep up with the White Sox in spring training?
I mean, I keep up with them, but you asked when I get excited about the White Sox. I'm a White Sox fan. The answer is never.
It's pretty sad.
That is a great answer. Great.
You got to bereave.
Yeah, I guess you do. Well, listen, you do a great job here at this station. We love having you on Thursday. So have a great show later on today, Ben. And as always, thank you so much.
Thanks. I appreciate it, guys.
All right, Ben Shapiro. We're coming back on Bernie and Sid right after this.